This video, I want to take you through a very crazy example of a completely insane CEO on LinkedIn. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen some of the cringe LinkedIn posts. I made a few videos about these too. But this is a case of a CEO who's fired 26 people, and he will just turn your firing, your layoff, which could be impacting your life dramatically. You could be losing significant amounts of money, struggle to pay your mortgage, pay for your family requirements, your basic food and living costs. And he turns all of that into some life lesson, a passive aggressive LinkedIn post, right? And he turns a massive life-changing decision that will impact you as an employee, for example, into this cringe post to glorify himself. So let's talk about the disconnect between CEOs and employees in many cases, right? He says, I fired 26 people as a CEO. I'm very proud of that. Now, to what extent you can be proud of negatively impacting people's lives really does raise a question. How can you say you're proud of this, firstly? Not because I enjoyed firing those people. In fact, every single one of them bothered me. Well, maybe all but one. I think this is interesting, just before we move on, is maybe all but one. He knows the 26 people he fired are going to read this because he's the CEO. They're probably connected on LinkedIn. And when he says all but one, people start to think, oh, was it me? Did I do something wrong? Things like that. So it's kind of like, it's this really passive aggressive corporate chat that occurs within the office, but also on LinkedIn. And it's like, if I read this, I'd really react badly to it, to be honest, if I was one of the 26 employees who had been fired. So let's keep going. With a click of your fingers, someone loses their job, others are affected, the family hurts. And it's kind of like this lack of sincerity that does occur from these senior managers, typically people who are in jobs for life, where they'll be on a high paying salary for life. They're completely disconnected from the reality and lack of stability and security and the anxiety that can cause in people who are working most jobs. Next, he says, it's a brutal experience, but as a leader, you have to be good at firing people. Now, just to finish this little part up before we move on to his multiple choice completely ridiculousness, he says it's brutal, but he just seems kind of detached from it. It doesn't seem like he's finding it brutal. He's just like kind of pretending to say it's difficult to build a narrative to write a good LinkedIn post that you think will go viral. But as a leader, you have to be good at firing people, which is fair. I think that point's fair. You have to go be comfortable hiring people and firing them, depending on how your business is doing. And he says here in this multiple choice situation, if someone isn't doing their job, gelling well with the team, a pleasure to work with, the right fit for their role. I think a lot of this is it makes sense, but it kind of drives home the point I make in several of my videos, is that the social game is really important in the corporate environment. I would say doing well at your job. Most people, once they spend a few years in any particular field of work, they can do a decent job. But the things that are really going to get you laid off is whether you gel well with the team, as in the social dynamics. And then, are you a pleasure to work with, which is, again, the social dynamics. And then, are you the right fit for the right role? Now, these are all kind of vague terms, which means, are you going to suck up to management? Are you going to have your social life revolve around being friends with your co-workers? Are you going to pretend to be fake happy when you're doing lots of work tasks? That's what it means, right? You notice how little of the corporate narrative, the corporate speak that come from senior management is about having good technical skills, being hardworking, being productive. It comes very little to that, which is doing their job, which is 1/4 or 25% of it. And I would say 25%, the split between you being good at your job and being popular at work is that split. 25% of keeping your job depends on how good you are at the job, and 75% is how popular you are in the office. Then he says you have to let them go. Why let one bad apple spoil the whole damn bunch? So when a person appears in your company, always be quick to relinquish. P.S. Have you ever had to fire someone? What are your best firing tips? Now, there's lots to say here. Firstly, if he has to let them go and he talks about people being a bad apple, is it potentially that him as a manager, as a CEO, is a bad apple? If he has to fire 26 people, it raises the question, are you not hiring the right 26 people if you have to fire them, right? Then also, like I say, there could be leadership issues there about his ability. And he seems to be celebrating firing people as some kind of skill, which is, say, they're completely detached from the reality of most people. And I wanted to look at this photo of himself with his wife or his girlfriend, I would believe. These people are the typical type of people. Aim at their heads like this. But these are the type of people you have to deal in the corporate environment. They typically come from these affluent, liberal, upper middle class, champagne socialist type of backgrounds. They live this completely detached life. They're going to live a comfortable life forever. Whether they hire you or fire you, they couldn't care less. They're in the right social circle to maintain that high level, high senior management role where they don't do much work. They just delegate a lot of the work and play the social game at the senior level. They're completely detached from you. They also live very social status driven life. They see you as like a low wage peasant meant to work for them so they can live this extravagant life that they live, this very comfortable, easy life while you're stressing every day about whether you can keep a job or not. They lack human understanding. I mean, I really want you to think carefully at these people without putting crosshairs directly at their heads. I want you to think about carefully about these type of people and what type of, do you have a similar type of people at your workplace, like who are in senior roles, middle management roles? I notice there's always these personality types, these kind of weak, effeminate, emasculated liberal men, right? Soy boys, shit libs, whatever you want to call them. And then you have these women who are like these kind of strong empowerment, girl power type of woman. It's always the same type. Let me know in the comments if these are the type of people you typically see in management. Because I think there's an automated filtering process that pushes out any type of masculine men, any strong men or honorable men, that pushes out any type of virtuous woman. It has a specific kind of psychopath behavior that you need to reach those senior roles and be in that kind of senior management role forever, which they always seem to look like this. So there must be some kind of filtering process that favors this personality type, this archetype of a man and a woman. And also, you notice a lot of these people are not good at actually doing the work themselves, and they often don't know what the details of the work you're doing. They're just good at playing the office politics game, which is what the corporate environment's become. It's become this high school playground of popularity. And these people, you can just tell from, like, they don't have any signs of, like, stress or anxiety or a lot of the realities that most people have to deal with on their face. They live this very comfortable social work-life balance type of situation, even though they pretend they're doing super important decisions in senior roles. Anything that goes wrong, they'll end up firing you and you'll be subject to a layoff, not these people. And that was just a quick overview of a LinkedIn post, right? Of a CEO who's completely detached from the reality of most workers and the challenges and stresses they deal with, because he just sees a layoff as kind of a fun experience. And we really should focus on why he decided to take that picture, because it just seems like, oh, he's just chilling after work or maybe on the weekend with his girlfriend, and they're kind of smiling, almost laughing at the people they fired. And it's like, there really is a social detachment going on in society right now between the senior management and middle management versus everyone else who's doing the actual work. And this, like I say, this is going to continue to create tension within the workplace, because there's certain people who've just got an easy life, they're set for life financially, and many other people who are struggling. So let me know in the comments if you've dealt with this type of management style. How have your managers reacted to layoffs, particularly in the recent years when there's been a lot of layoffs in tech and finance particularly? How do they handle it? Does it really affect the mood in the workplace? Are the management kind of detached and they couldn't care less about certain people? Because that's what I've seen in the finance industry. And if you're new to the channel, I've been working at some of these companies for over 10 years. I have experience dealing with this particular personality type who are quite annoying. And if you're looking for some career advice, I do have a career coaching service, link in description if you want to speak with me directly. Thanks for listening. There are 2 recommended videos on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time.